All right, guys, so Canon Rumors. Yeah, who would have figured? I haven't done a Canon Rumors video in what seems like forever. But way back in September, I did a video, this video right here. I did this video that said, Canon Rumors, is the Canon M-Series dead? And it looks like 2021 may be the end. And it was, there's been a lot of, I want to say, foreshadowing. If you really have been watching at all, anything with Canon, and it's to be expected, I think. I really don't think you can have two different series of lenses and camera bodies that really just have no compatibility with them at all, right? You can't take an RF lens and mount it on an M-Series camera. You can't have an M-Series lens and mount it on an RF series camera. They're two totally different systems. Very unlike, the old, we'll say old, EF/EFS lenses. Sure, we couldn't put RF lenses on an EF camera, but EF lenses went on APS cameras, APS-C cameras, sorry. You could even fit EF and EFS lenses on RF cameras with an adapter. I actually shoot this camera right here. This is the R6, and it uses an old 16-35 EF lens with an adapter. Works great. Some of my telephoto lenses that I have, and just recently actually purchased, are all EFs, and they work with the adapter fantastically. So having an M series where you can invest in all this really didn't seem, or I didn't seem to think that it made a lot of sense for Canon to have. And I get it as a consumer, it's a nice low price entry point. But if Canon can start to make low priced entry point RF mount cameras, then I think we could possibly have a winner. So we're going to look at an article actually from Canon Rumors. Just so you guys know, most of you probably already know this already. Like I have. There's a Canon M50 right here. And I use this to do a lot of my B shots, right? Sometimes C shots, sometimes product shots. And I actually use this a lot still for photography, because out of my R6 and my RP, this has got one of the highest resolutions. It's close to the RP, but for telephoto shots, using a telephoto zoom, because of that 1.6 times crop, my zoom lenses become even more so, right? I have a Sigma 150 to 600. So that 600 actually becomes like a 960 on this little guy versus just a 600 on the RP and the R6. So it's kind of nice sometimes having that crop. I get it. So let's take a look at Canon Rumors. And this is Canon Rumors right here. This actually came out December 30th. So it's taken me a little bit of time to make this video, and for those of you that are aware, I have been a little on the sick side. So I've been just trying to get better. So here's I got my tea and honey, which is a tasty treat. Anyway, here they have it, right? It looks like 2021 will be the last year for the EOS M lineup. So they had spoken with two different sources here that suggest that 2021 will be the last year of the EOS M line, and that the EOS M50 Mark II was a stopgap for a couple of future RF mount APS-C cameras. And we could also say that the M50 Mark II was a huge disappointment. Let's call it like it is. It was a huge disappointment, and something that I think, for those of us that are M50 owners, I think if this is it, which it looks like it is for the M series, they should release the firmware that takes the M50 and just makes it an M50 Mark II, because really that's all it was. It was a firmware update. If anybody disagrees with that, I don't even know what to tell you. Look at all the changes and tell me how those couldn't be implemented in a firmware update. It's hardware wise, they're identical to each other. So right? So it also says here that this was the first time that they had heard of 2 possible APS-C RF mount cameras coming. But I would think we would start to see a more pro-grade APS-C based camera. And that would be, because we've started to see this as well, an R7. So that would be basically the Canon 7D RF version. So, you know, that would, in my opinion, Canadian dollars wise, would probably come in around the $2,000 mark. So that'll give you that more of that professional, still professional, I would say almost probably the same body as the R6 for design. But of course, be a little bit more based, of course, around the APS-C sensor, but would be based a little bit more on speed and probably like sports photography, things like that, which is really that niche, I think, that the Canon 7D was after. And anybody that really wanted that extra bit of reach. So you got a pretty good high megapixel sensor. It would definitely be higher, I would think, than the actual R6. And my hope would be that they would probably use something like the sensor that's included in, let's say, the 90D. So it gives you, I believe, like a 32 megapixel. Put that in that camera, like an R7. I think that would be fantastic. Now, you also will need to look at getting an R based camera in that M50. And when I say in that M50 field, not only do you need to get it in that price point, so somewhere in, again, in Canadian dollars, let's say that $1,000 mark, $1,000, maybe even $1,200 mark. For those in the US, I would say, you know, $799, $899, somewhere in there. But you also need to get something that is that kind of size. That's one of the nicest things about the M50. It has a lot, if not most, of the full features of a full-size DSLR camera in a much smaller body. So for those that want travel, for those that want a camera that's just light, the M50 was so good at that. Even like I said, to this day, I still take my M50 out on occasion over top of the R6 if it's got good light and I don't need to be shooting 4K, and I am going to be using it primarily for like photography and want that extra reach. You know, strapping even like a kit lens or a 24 to 105 or 28 to 130, 135. Put those on there. They're fantastic travel lenses. You got like a one-stop shop. Now, the other thing that's kind of important here too is that they talk about, previous to this article, that they had reported on these new lenses. So if you look at the Canon RF 18 to 45, so basically it's a kind of a combination kit lens. So the kit lens that came with the M50 was the 15 to 45, so a little bit wider. And if you look at, let's say, the Rebel series or the T series on the DSLR side of Canon, usually those came with an 18 to 55. So you're kind of taking the wide of the DSLR lens and you're taking the telephoto of the M-Series lens and kind of putting them together. So you're getting this 18 to 45. Now I think that would be a great kit lens that comes with a budget-friendly RF-based camera, keeping that body size small. This way we get a lot more future-proofing, because anybody that bought the M50 Mark II, I honestly, I'm just like, I feel kind of bad for you, because you bought a camera probably with the hopes that you'd be able to invest in it and do whatever with it for years. And, you know, less than a year later, they're like, yeah, we're killing that series. Not only just, you know, we're going to slow it down. No, we're done with it. And if we can get these APS-C bodies that get the RF lenses, now we're getting a camera that twofold can still take the old EF lenses, as we see with my camera here, and you future-proofed it to a point that you can actually, you know, buy RF lenses. And Canon, that's where they've got their focus. They've got their focus on the RF lenses, and that's what they're making. So I'm kind of excited. If they were to release a budget-friendly M50 style camera with an RF mount for that $1,000 range, even if it's $1,000 body only, with an APS-C sensor that's got, I'll say, 30 megapixels plus with 4K, dual pixel autofocus. Doesn't have to have IBIS because I don't think it will, not at that price point. But 4K dual pixel autofocus, winner. Winner, right off the bat. All right, guys, what do you think? Do you think, or how many of you actually have M-Series cameras, or were possibly considering an M-Series camera, and now you're like, oh, because even for me, I have my M50. Do I try to sell it? Do I try to offload it? Because I got a lot of stuff and accessories for it, and start new, or try to sell it now before it devalues a lot, or do I just hold on to it and keep it as a piece of memorabilia? You know, I don't know. All right, guys, eager to hear your thoughts on this. Leave your comments down below, and that's it. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit the little bell right there. Well, that's my bell. It's ring the other bell, and we'll see you guys next video. All right, guys, later.